Yeah. Okay.
Because they can see us talking to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go away.
Huonosti täällä.
Do we just start?
We can start then, maybe. Hello, people. Nice to see you here. We are now in Tampere University of Applied Sciences premises in Pro Academia, and we are in a webinar that is hosted by the TAMK Global Education. Virpi and Karida and Renata are all behind the scenes. That's why we are here. Very nice and exciting. They gave us a title. It was something like, is team coaching the answer for 21st century education? And that is quite a big title. What do you think?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I met, last week we had the autumn break, and I finally met my daughter. She's 24 years now. And we were laughing at the fact that her title in her work is the same as mine. So in her work, she is a team coach, and I'm a team coach. She works in an insurance company, and I work in a higher educational institution. And I think it's kind of funny that we ended up having the same titles, but very different jobs. Well, anyways, we are all team coaches, and you, Alina, you also have some team coaching experience already.
Yes.
But let's start with Timo.
Okay, should I introduce myself?
Yes, please.
So, hi all who haven't met me yet. My name is Timo Nevalainen, and I'm working as a team coach in Pro Academia, but also as a researcher in a newly established research group on learning and growth in teams. So I'm interested in this topic. How do people learn in teams? And I've been working in TAMK since 2007 and as a coach in Pro Academia for the last 10 years. So I began at 2010.
So I have a longer history at TAMK,
Yes.
20 years history, but shorter history at Pro Academia, only 8 years. So
Yeah, I started when it was, I would say, very different.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think the feeling was there and the attitudes were quite similar.
And
But
Pro Academia was much smaller and
yes,
everything. Yeah.
smaller and I would say less organized as well.
Ooh. So, Tarja.
Okay, my name is Tari Tittanen, and my background is in physiotherapy. And I have been maybe about 20 years as a physiotherapy entrepreneur. And of course, I have been also teaching here in Tampere about 10 years now. And from 2015, I have been a team coach, well-being team. Okay, how about Alina?
Hey, my name is Alina. I'm a third-year student here at Pro Academia, and what else? I have a background in nursing. I graduated 2016 from that school, worked a few years, and then I realized that I have this passion for making things better and seeing things that don't work. And at least in healthcare, there are many things that are going onwards all the time, and I really felt that my passion was in making the customer path more flexible and making the working more nice for the people working there. So yeah, and here during my time at Pro Academia, for 1 year I was the head of international team, and I have also been, for example, with Timo coaching some Chilean people, so I'm interested of this topic also.
So let's start from there. So how was your experience? How was it different that team coaching with Timo from Finland to Chile online than what is your experience of teaching? How do you compare those?
Well, first of all, as a student, I feel that I had a very narrow and very forward idea of what team coaching is, and I kind of felt a bit lost even with the case. What is the meaning of coaches here? Why aren't they more involved in the team? And I wasn't feeling angry, but somehow very, very kind of anxious that I wasn't sure what the coaching really meant. Mm-hmm. But once I got to coach myself and we went through some theories and really started doing the kind of reflection how it all affects on the people we're coaching rather than teaching, it started to make more sense, and I really started to understand how learning can be so much more than just reading someone's, let's say, PowerPoint notes or something else. So I think for students in Pro Academia, it would be very important for everyone to somehow be more involved in coaching and have some kind of background or just some experiences of it themselves
Yeah.
to understand it better.
And maybe also to work as team coaches themselves
Yes,
in the
yes.
future businesses, whatever
Yeah.
they end up doing.
Yeah.
So coaching skills would be would be good for all
Yeah.
to learn at the same time. How do you see the difference between teaching and coaching, team coaching?
Good questions, because it is a little bit hard to explain, but I think that team coach is the middle of the students, not in ahead of them. And also I think my most important task is to encourage they to be curious and ask questions and be ready to challenge them to learn, and not just how to say ottaa vastaan
Receive. Yeah.
what they are
Only
told.
receive.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, and also thinking themselves, what do
Yes,
they need to
yes.
know and why?
yes. And I think also that in nowadays we will need everybody's brains to together thinking, because the world is so complex and it's not going away.
On the contrary, I would say.
I think in much of education we are pretending, or we are making our students pretend that they are there alone, working on their learning alone and thinking alone, while those things they never happen without engagement with the world where we are in and engagement with the people we are with. So I think most of the sort of traditional teaching, it ignores this side of learning and thinking, that it's done together.
Yeah.
It's always done together, no matter what we pretend.
Yeah.
And I think this sort of self-centered individualism in learning, I think we should try to get away from it and start thinking about how to improve the quality of our interaction in these situations where we are together, like here.
Yeah.
About the difference between learning and between teaching and coaching, I sometimes say that coaching, team coaching is a form of teaching, and sometimes I think that they are very different. I think one of the differences is that I use this metaphor of well, where the word coaching comes from. Coach is a horse-drawn carriage, and there's a person who's driving that carriage, and in how we usually think of teaching is that it's a teacher telling people what they should be learning and in which order, and what kind of things they will need to do in order to learn. In coaching, like with that kind of a horse-drawn carriage, a stagecoach, somebody comes to the coach, and the first question asked by the coach is, "Where do you want to go?"
Oh yes,
So we are not the people who are telling others where they should go. We are asking them, where do you want to go, and what are you prepared to pay? Meaning, in this case, what are you prepared to do in
Yeah.
order to get there?
Good point.
And
Yeah.
maybe we can help.
Yeah.
But that's my sort of very quick view of coaching.
Yeah. And how would the teacher fit in that big picture? What would he? Well, he would be telling them.
I think good teachers have always been coaches.
Yeah.
They have been talking with their students, and I think this idea that teachers should be close to the topic of learning and distanced from the students, I think this is completely wrong. I think we should be close to the students, but maybe take a bit more distance from the projects that the students work
Yeah.
with.
So here in Pro Academia, Tarja, you have a team of, you call it well-being team.
Yeah.
So in other words, it's the team of physiotherapist students and sociologists.
Social service.
Social
students.
services
Yeah.
students. So you are not teaching them, you are coaching them.
Yeah.
So what do you do with them?
What I do with them? Maybe I ask questions, and I ask what they want and what they want to be after 5 years or 10 years. And I often say to them that I'm only the coach for them because I want that they change the world. I agree what Alina said earlier about the healthcare. There's a lot of things to do, and I have paljon odotuksia, expectation
Expectations, yes.
to my students that they change the world in healthcare.
Not a small thing.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that it's such a complex thing, and when it comes to talking about people and individuals and the big communities, cities, countries, the whole world, like we were discussing in the beginning, it doesn't work anymore that there are people with their own mind doing their own thing. It needs the wider perception of things and sharing the knowledge and multicultural different kind of attitudes towards the whole infrastructure to really make the change and make them work.
Yeah, yeah. And more than they are professions and professionals, they have to be interaction with each others and do and develop things together with customer or patient.
Yeah, and I think that if we are trying to get into some kind of sustainable future, I think it's obvious that even large organizations and communities need to change.
Yeah.
And if we are going to change large organizations, these organizations, they need to develop capacity for learning.
Yeah.
And the way organizations learn is through teams.
Yeah.
And way teams learn is through maybe individuals, but individuals working together.
Yeah.
And I think we need to start paying more attention to the quality of teamwork, because now when people come to us, they sometimes tell that we've been doing teamwork throughout our whole school. But many people have very sort of negative views about teamwork, the way it's done. But here in Pro
divided group work.
It's divided group work, and I think it's very sort of accidental. There's not much guidance into how to work as a team. So I think in Pro Academia we are trying to change that. We are trying to improve the quality of interactions within the teams.
Yeah, and you said very well that the guidance, how to work together in a team, is something that, well, definitely people at Pro Academia learn. Well, what do you think? You have your own experience, third year going.
Yeah, I think the fun fact is that if you think of the quality of the teamwork, it only takes a few people to really understand the essence of it. And then it can multiply for the whole team when there are a few people. But of course there's complexity. For example, in Pro Academia we often have 15 to 20 people in one team. And that means 15 to 20 different backgrounds, upbringings, attitudes towards the world, moral thinking. It's a very complex pack of different individuals, and it's very hard often to find some kind of a neutral way of even wanting the same things.
Yes.
Isn't that the same in normal organizations?
I suppose
working
so.
life.
Yeah.
And well, we know that having a team of 20 people, that's not the most effective way of organizing work. But it's extremely good for learning, because there's so many different views that there's lots of need to negotiate. It's not always the most effective way, but I think it's close to the best in terms of learning. there's a lot of things that team members need to negotiate about. Well, what does your business do? That's the first question, and there's about 20 different views. So you need to engage in dialogue about that.
And Pro Academy is a school of entrepreneurship and team leadership.
Yes.
That's a degree program here, or the entrepreneurship in physiotherapy or social sciences.
So social service.
Social sciences. Why is it so difficult to learn? Yeah. But anyway, so if the coach is asking these questions as where are you going to, what do you want to learn, the answers could come from the business, like they are going to be entrepreneurs and they are here 3 years more or less to learn those skills that they need in their business to run the business.
Yeah. I think it's difficult because in a way we earlier were discussing that because if it's entrepreneurship, there's a one big whole of it.
Yeah.
And it requires very much, and often it requires a very tightly working team who have the same vision, mission, all this.
Yes.
And then when you push it to the teams of 20 people and say that, okay, you will hopefully become entrepreneurs, leaders, whatever, it can be basically be anything, but those are the two big themes, and they kind of, at least in the beginning of the studies, they feel like they are underlying or undermining themselves.
Yeah.
Like thinking, if you want to become a successful entrepreneur, wouldn't it be smarter to put us in teams of 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Or if you want to emphasize on the team learning, why put this entrepreneurship kind of to bring the stress to the students?
Yeah.
But I think as time passes on and you really start understanding the meaning of all the complexity and how they work actually towards each other, it starts making more sense.
Well, I've heard from alumni, people who have graduated from Pro Academia, that after working in Pro Academia with a team of 20 people, with everybody with different goals initially, it's quite easy to run an enterprise with 4 or 5 people who all know what they are doing and are
Much
focused on
easier.
achieving the same thing.
Yeah. So let's think that the students get their goals from that perspective to be able to run the business or run the projects that they need to do and on the area that they are interested in. How do you make sure? How do you know that your students learn? Or Alina, as a student, how do you know that you learn? We don't get it. We don't give you the grades. We give you the credits eventually and the degree, but no like grading like.
Well, I think one of the biggest things, of course, now that we're learning in teams, you get feedback from your team members. And I think pretty much like in whether you're studying here or working in an organization, me, for example, as a nurse, every time someone gives a feedback that you're doing this really well, that you managed very well and you got very good feedback, of course, that assures me the kind of that I know what I'm doing, I really have learned or nailed this to some extent. And on the controversy, there can be some things that I think I'm doing really well, like I'm really pushing the team onwards, and then I suddenly get feedback that you're actually pushing us to the corner, that stop, it's not working for us. And that's also, I feel like, one of the learning experiences that I'm molding myself, I'm really understanding better how I work, and then I realize that, okay, when I get these big aha moments in my head, that's when I realize that I learn actually something bigger.
Rasse,
Yes.
have you learned anything recently? Rasse is also a teampreneur here in Pro Academia.
Yes, I actually have. But it's so hard to tell something when someone asks it like that.
In front of the camera and global audience.
You're on TV. Yes, I know.
But anyway, you have the feeling that you have learned.
Yeah, it's like you learn stuff every week. Like in the fine sports, you're doing the e-sport thing in Lempäällä. It's like every day when you go there, you learn something new, but it's so hard when you just have to say.
In a couple of sentences.
Like web pages and stuff, every day you have to think about like what should we add to these things so we get like more customers and more click rates and stuff. So you learn from search engine optimization, like each day you check it and there's new data and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Learning is cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks.
I think that was a good way of putting it, because I think that well, once some people asked me that me as a coach, how do I control everything that the team is doing? How do I control all the projects? And my answer was, I don't. If people would be doing so little that I could, as in some kind of teacher role, control everything that they do and monitor it and evaluate it, they wouldn't be doing enough.
Yeah.
So one of the indicators, I think, quite early with new teams that they are learning is that they are doing more stuff that I could ever hope to control, and they are doing more interesting stuff that I could never ever dream of doing myself. So, and also stuff that at least later on, stuff that they couldn't have dreamed of doing when they were beginning. So people are doing more things, more complex things, and well, engaging in with the world and other businesses, and in a way that I could never, as a teacher, as a coach, hope to control or monitor or evaluate or assess in any way. So there's more happening when people are learning. And also, I think when they have this sort of flow of emotions when they are doing stuff, there's frustration, there's innovation, there's this feeling of coming up with something that's really new. I think that's what learning should be about. But frustration should be there as well, and
All the feelings.
and the pain of learning, and also the enjoyment.
Yes.
Yeah, you always keep saying that learning is hard work and
Very slow.
and a very
Learning
slow
is very
process.
slow process. Yes.
And I think it's also painful in the way what actually Pro Academia is doing much more than, let's say, usual learning methods, because here learning you have to really look inside of yourself, and you have to work so much with the way, who are you as a person, what do you want to become as a person. It's not just what do you want to do for your living and how do you want to do it, and it's like more of this kind of psychological game going on inside of your head. And I think it's really, really tiring to work with all the emotions and the mental capacity at all the time. And I think that's really different to other methods.
All those
Here.
thinking words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to do.
Yeah. But also it's very enriching to realize, for example, me now that I went to, after I have been studying here for a while and I went to work to the hospital for the summer again, I got feedback from the way they say that I don't know how to put it into words, but you're really thinking differently,
Okay.
which I think was really a fun way to put things. And once again, it made me thinking, okay, what do they mean with that? But
Do you think it was a positive comment?
I do think, yeah, of course. But it's funny to actually realize that people I work with there every now and then, they do realize that I think differently.
Yeah.
Like, how does it show? There must be something behind it. So
Yeah. I keep thinking about my son. He's also studying in one university of applied sciences, not here at TAMK, but somewhere else. And we had a talk last week, and I got the feeling that he's only studying for the grades and to get the degree, and he maximizes his effort to minimize his work. He just gave me so many examples how they can fool their teachers, or maybe he doesn't, but maybe somebody else. He has heard.
But
this
you know,
story.
that's kind of learning as well. But
Yeah, that's
I don't
true,
know
yeah.
if it's helpful.
one strategy to survive in life. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I told him, and you would be kicked out from Pro Academia. That we only want people who are interested in learning and really want to get somewhere with that.
Yeah.
So. What do we get? What do you think about this? Just passing the courses to get a degree instead of learning and knowing that, and so that you can trust yourself and you know that you know and learn.
I think that it is not nowadays way to learn, because it's a way to suorittaa.
Perform or
Perform or have graduated some kind of profession, but then you can say, I haven't learned anything in school, and that did not teach for me. The responsibility to learn is somebody else, not me.
Yeah. And I think that many schools, they are not increasing the people's capabilities or improving their capabilities as much as they could be. It's more like teaching them to perform in a very school kind of way.
Yeah.
We train people as actors in school plays.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like shooting your own leg. If you think that many people said that, for example, when they were in high school, they wish they had really understood the meaning of the final exams and reading and getting good grades, because it does make an immense difference towards the future where you can apply on and how easily do you get into a school you wish. And I feel it's the same kind of when it comes to the higher degree educations, that if you're just really wanting to pass and get the degree program, it does affect the way people, if you want to work for someone else, will they accept you in if you have barely just made the grades through and you don't have really anything on your portfolio to prove that you have done things. So for example, in Pro Academy, I think it would be a waste of time to come here and just kind of ride along and get the degree program, because I think the idea is that at the end of the day, once you graduate, you have something to prove how good you are in different things and what you have done and what you have learned. And if you don't have any of those, where will it get you?
How many real projects have you done with real customers in Pro Academia?
Quite many, yeah. I'd say 15 to 20, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Smaller ones and bigger
Yes,
ones.
yeah,
and different ones.
yeah.
and I'm quite sure your coach doesn't know about all of those projects.
No,
Probably not.
How many can you name?
I have seen the names in the list, that, you know, but I don't really know all of them perfectly. But yeah, I have the big picture. Big picture.
Yeah. I think the bigger ones that really take my time and where I put my effort, those are the ones that I do feel like I need to sometimes spar with my coach and get their opinion or talk with them. But then again, if it's something that I do a quick marketing thing for a company, it doesn't really maybe need to be. If that's something I'm sure of and I know that I will do it well, so.
Yeah. And anyway, this is one of the differences between teaching and coaching. I have a feeling that the students do things for the teachers, but here in Pro Academia, the students do things for themselves and for the team companies and the teams to learn, and they are not doing that for me.
And, I think the idea in schools is often that it's the students on the one side and teachers on the one side, and teachers are sort of setting these hurdles that the students need to jump over. And in Pro Academia, we are on the same side.
Yeah, it doesn't feel here that we need to prove to the coaches something. It's something that we need to prove to ourselves and the team members.
Yeah. And learning by doing is one of the things that gives people the trust that they believe in themselves and they know that they know that they have learned.
And they can.
They can, that's the word, learning by doing. Do you have
Nice job, guys.
Hey.
I'm going to break right now.
See ya, bye.
Bye-bye.
See you, Virpi. So do you have any good examples or bad examples in your mind at the moment about learning by doing? So this kind of, learning by doing. Thanks. We also discussed earlier that as a coach, we learn to coach learning by doing.
By doing
Coaching
every
stuff.
day.
Yeah.
Well, I think from a student's perspective, one of the biggest rocks you can basically stumble on is that you still try to learn yourself even you have the team around you. So I think at least in our teams, I sometimes feel that we have had the difficulties to kind of really understand the meaning of the team when it comes to, for example, projects or businesses we do. So we still struggle, or sometime I think it was our previous head coach Veijo who was having this great speech about feeling shame and feeling this kind of epäonnistuminen.
Failure.
And I think that's something that can hold the team back sometimes, that rather than showing your vulnerability to others, you could just show it and do it and ask for the backup of everyone rather than trying to perfect something to the point when you can actually start speaking about it to others. I think that's like, once you understand that idea that it's really good to learn with others and to get the kind of different perspective, it really takes you onward.
But you need a lot of trust
Yes.
that you can
Yes.
learn by others.
Yeah. And trust that the others, be it your team members or coach, they wish all the best for you and that
Yeah.
they're not competing or evaluating you.
Yeah.
So
Yes, and it is so important to have people around you to have a dialogue and share things. And it was a good moment when some weeks ago it was the Pro Academia 21st birthday seminar we had. Remember that alumni, his name is Ville? Something. Anyway, and he told that when he was here at Pro Academia, he was a little bit individual.
Yeah.
But then he learned the power of the team and always wanted to have, more people. And then again, more people around him, and then understanding the thing that he will learn much more the more there is people around him. It was
And
I don't-
usually people realize after a while in Pro Academia that they can achieve so much more together with other people. And I think our view of entrepreneurs is too individualistic. We are told about these examples like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates who have founded companies alone. No, they haven't founded those companies alone. They may have started alone or with a close friend like Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak did. But what they will soon need is other people around them, and they need to be able to use the other people's talents as well and work as a team with those people. Stories about these individuals, they make for good marketing. It's a good story, it's a good narrative to have this individual person who's going to challenge the whole world alone. But it's unfortunately or fortunately it's not very true.
I think it's easy for people because it's so, maybe the century hasn't really elapsed so much forward that it's become a norm to idolize a group of people, but because since the beginning of times people have idolized one single person they can feel relatedness to. So I think it's really needs a wider kind of change in people's and like heart of communities to understand that it's better to idolize a very big crowd with different points of views and what they can do rather than just maybe one person. Not that they rule each other out, but
So we can conclude at this point that we all believe that teams are important in the future and in the working life. And if there are teams, like in sports, there are teams like soccer teams and volleyball teams and ice hockey teams, and those teams have coaches. So I guess that is one of what I think about. When I try to identify myself as a coach, I try to think about, for example, football players. They are the students are on the field and they do the running, and I'm just there, like on the side, shouting, and they do the playing. The ball goes from the student to another, from the player to another player, and not to me, but still I kind of follow the situation.
What they are playing.
Yeah, exactly. And we may have planned that together, and so the coaches are needed if there are teams.
And
So
teams need to set up the goal together.
Exactly.
Like soccer.
Yes. And if there is no clear goals, then there will be problems.
Yeah.
No meaningful working life and whatever.
And then the team has to learn how to use the individual's skills
Yes.
and how to use their different personalities also.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most interesting tasks when you start with a new team is to try to try to find out what are the sort of I call them superpowers of each individual in a team, because you will need those when you're coaching a team. You have to figure out and constantly be curious about where are these people's strengths, because I very strongly believe that everyone has this kind of special strength that can be used, and our usual way of thinking about people in school is quite mechanistic. We think of them as very kind of similar kind of people, and we look at their failures in terms of our school subject we are teaching them. Okay, this person is not very good at maths, this person is not very good at biology, not very good at arts, not very good at singing, not very good at painting, but instead trying to find out where those people's strengths are, because it's only those strengths that we can use to sort of counter those weaknesses.
How do you learn to coach? How did you learn these things?
How did I learn? By doing it.
Well, you have always been reading a lot.
I've been reading a lot, but that alone it doesn't help.
But originally you are an English teacher.
Yes.
So during your university degree you didn't even hear the word coaching?
Not the word coaching. I heard the word dialogue, and I was lucky to have this didactics teacher in my teacher training who was always working in a very dialogical way. So we have conversations like this, and we pretty much like what we have in training sessions in Pro Academia. And we did that every day for 5-6 hours. So that was my sort of initial training into dialogue. And he gave me an example of how I want to be as a teacher. But then when I started, I saw how universities treat people, and that they put them in large lecture halls, and then somebody lectures, and everybody's sleeping. And I think when I came to Pro Academia, I saw that you can actually do this kind of thing in a university. So I think, well, I started in Pro Academia, and I talked a lot with our older students, because I knew some of them from before, from the main campus. So I talked a lot with them and asked them, what's your coach doing? What's the most important thing for you that your coach has been doing? And by that I was coaching my own team at the same time. And anytime I had any problems, I went to the older students, asked them, can you please come here and tell us about this thing that we are, or talk with us, please.
Can I stick to something you said before?
Yeah.
You said that about not rather than the teachers trying to find where a student is bad, like maths and singing and arts. I started thinking, because when you coach a team, you need to coach the team as a whole, but also you need to coach the individuals.
Yeah.
And a big part of coaching the individuals in the team is to find the right motivational backgrounds of each one, and then the whole team. So how do you find a way to motivate or encourage, let's say, 18 people in one team, and then trying to find the one whole way for the whole team? How do you do it?
I think really good question. Things that help. We have the learning contracts done with each individual together with the whole team, and then we have development discussions, individual students with the coach, and those are where you find out about individual motivations. And also I used to talk quite a lot about or ask the students that how are you going to help the team with your specific skills, or how does your motivation, how does it relate to what the team is doing, and could you maybe help this and this person, because I can see that you're strong in this area, can you help? Would you be able to help these people? So it's like one part of coaching is connecting people in ways
Yeah.
that they didn't maybe
Yeah.
see the connections before.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
But of course you have a different kind of level, individuals level, because somebody doesn't know what he wants and what she or he is going to, and somebody knows very well where he or she would be in the future. Yeah, and that is quite different and maybe difficult in a team coach to get them motivate to the same goal and same.
Yes, and try to help the person who has a strong vision where to go, to understand that the other one does not have a strong vision, and kind of be patient and how he could help the other one, and the other way around, and how it could work.
Is it hard to, in a team, let's say there are 20 people, and of course you might have some kind of an idea, even you might not have a strong opinion where the team maybe should go next, or what might be a good play move for them to pass on a conflict situation, for example. Is it hard to not show preferences towards opinions of certain students within the bunch?
Yeah, it is. Very hard, at least for me.
For me, it's not actually.
Especially when the team is doing something that's interesting for me personally. Then I have to fight it like really, really hard, not to tell my own opinions and not to tell what they should be doing next, because I know that me telling what they should be doing next, that's probably completely wrong, because I'm thinking about it for myself, not for the team members. If I would be them, I would go that way, but they are not me. They are much more skilled in some things that I can't do, and then they don't have maybe the skills that I do in some areas. So it's not me. They are not me. So I have to be like really, really careful.
How are you feeling?
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you not telling us? You're not telling us that the time is up.
No, it is not, but it's very close, and we should put a video message that Yolanda has.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. We were
let's-
talking about learning by doing, and if I believe Yolanda will mention something.
Yeah,
along
and she will
those
talk
times.
about how it was to do like to implement that in Brazil. So
Yeah,
it's gonna-
excellent. Are you going to put it right now?
I'm gonna put in 2 minutes. When I show up here, it means that it's coming very soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we were talking about what?
Is it hard to show preferences, or
Yeah. For me personally, it's not difficult because for me it's easy to see so many options and so many solutions, and sometimes Alina is in my team, so sometimes with your team I try to like guide you to this direction, and then they totally decided to do it the other way around.
okay, whatever.
I was like, okay, I was wrong.
Yeah, fortunately, it never works if you
Exactly. So
try.
they have to make their own decisions and learn from that then. And yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we get this that I blurt out an idea, and then some people half a year after that they can come to me and we got this brilliant idea. Then I have to be silent that you may have heard it.
That happens every now and then. But I also like these team coaching instructions that we got from Johannes Partanen 20 years ago. Like as a team coach, when you feel like you should interfere, shut up and say nothing, and then the other way around, when you have a very comfortable feeling like everything is going fine, then there should be some alarm ringing and saying, aha, maybe you should be doing something now, and something should change. And so I think it was very difficult to learn, and the transformation from teacher to coach, that was one of the most difficult things. As the other one, that not being in the center, because I truly enjoy being a teacher and everybody looking at me, and I was talking and they had to listen to me, they have to listen to me. But now working as a team coach, where I'm there with the students, learning with them every day, and not the center of the universe. So
I think that's one important thing for learning as a coach, is to try out things. I mean, most of the time nobody's going to get hurt or killed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can quite safely try out new things and new
Yeah.
methods and new kind of approaches with different people. I think it's a lot of this work is testing what works.
Yeah.
So is it kind of like parenting in a way?
Yes, but
I'm
no.
not a parent, so I don't know.
Yes and
Kind
no.
of like you have to let the person, or in this case your child, do their own decisions and let them kind of find their own path to walk,
Yeah.
but also kind of interfere when it's really needed.
Me, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it comes from there.
You are mommies and daddies, yay!
We're not. There's still a difference.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but it's hard to say. Johannes Partonen also says that we are friends, but we are not friends.
Yeah.
This is in one sentence. So we are friends
Yeah.
with the students, but not friends. And it is a very strange feeling also. So. But also relieving.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think this idea of friends but not friends is to we don't need to keep that long distance from people, but some distance, so that when the people are frustrated, when the team is frustrated, we need to be able to smile. We can't be with them frustrated because we have to be the ones who give them courage.
I will put now the.
You have Yolanda online? Yes.
See what she has to say for us.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Yolanda Cortez.
Yolanda,
I am history
Yolanda.
teacher
Do you
and I
remember?
work in the education department of the state of Paraíba, Brazil.
1 month,
In
2 months before
2017, I
When
had
was
the
she
opportunity
Well,
for
maybe
the
before your
first
time.
time to study at TAMK
2017.
and learn about Pro Academia. I took a course focused on 21st century entrepreneurship in education. From this experience, Collaborate and Innovate was born, which is a subject applied in more than 100 high schools in Paraíba, involving around 3,000 teenage students and around 80 teachers. Then, Dare to Create event was also born, which is a hackathon of innovation and entrepreneurship aimed at high school students. Collaborate and Innovate works with active methodologies,
speak meanwhile the
entrepreneurial
video?
spirit, and
Can we
teamwork,
speak meanwhile the
focused
video is on?
on
Can they-
solving local problems.
Okay, so they don't hear us. Can they
To
see us?
manage all the Collaborate and Innovate demands, we have
Ne näkee meidät,
the
mutta ei
support
kuule.
of the high school management in Paraíba and a team of 3 people, Giovanni Lira, Jarleide Oliveira, and me. The 3 of us studied at Pro
Mitenkä se näyttää sen
Academia,
kuvan
and
siellä
what we
toisessa päässä?
learn about clear goals, systemic thinking, organization, living creativity, and building trust has helped us a lot to transform, collaborate, and innovate into the success it is today. We try to be guided by an exercise of permanent reflection: who we are, what we do, and why we need to continue doing it. This gives the dimension of our work and motivates us to move forward. In view of this, here are 3 great dimensions that I would like to explore with you. Eye-level dialogue, flexibility, and love. We like to practice eye-level dialogue, that is frank and non-hierarchical talk. Through it, we put our points of view and our concerns, and we try to build a consensus to execute the actions. Another fundamental point is the equitable distribution of tasks and functions. Take into account the skills and preferences of each one. We have a lot of work to do, but these teamwork strategies strengthen individual responsibility and help us deal with demands, generating good results. I also believe that flexibility plays a fundamental role when it comes to teamwork. We cannot live in predetermined roles. Being flexible help us to develop new skills, and this is also help us to deal with unforeseen circumstances and situations that are outside our scope of action. Love is the fire that warms, drives, and conquers. At first, it was difficult to convince all teachers that they collaborate and innovate and dare to create projects would be good and necessary. Many asked, what is the need for another subject, for another event? Others asked, what are you going to bring for us? We face initial resistance from many teachers, and that resistance to change is a natural process. But the passion we place in what we do is reflected in the study, preparation, and quality of what we deliver. Thus, love is strongly linked to commitment. This is an essential aspect to be able to motivate other people to follow this path of discovery, challenge, and learning. Anyway, these are the main aspects that I want to share with you. I would like to especially thank Carita, Virpi, Hannah, and Renata for the opportunity and for being part of the project we are developing in Paraíba. So folks, stay well, stay hydrated, and live your best version of yourself. See you soon. Bye bye.
Ja sitten hybridinä. Olla hybridinä, niin sitten pystyisi kuitenkin kääntämään kameran sinne, kuka puhuu.
Näyttääkö se siis vastaanottavan päässä sen, joka puhuu?
Okay.
And I have someone made a very good question.
Okay.
Maybe you can answer just one. And it was just one sec. If the focus is on using the strengths of individuals, how can the coach encourage team members to develop in their weaker skills areas?
Sorry, how can the coach?
How can the coach encourage team members to develop in their weaker skills areas?
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. It was from Susan McEnsh.
Thank you, Susan, for this question, and thank you, Yolanda, for your video message. I don't know if you still can see us, but anyway, you have been participating in many of our trainings, and we have worked a lot together, and I have worked with you in Paraíba, and I know that you have been able to do lots of educational experiments with a great success there in Paraíba, and thank you for your video message for us. But now we have this question. Sometimes it is not needed to really develop the weaker areas, but sometimes it is, if it's something essential.
I think what matters there is what are the goals. As I said in the beginning, the coach is the one that asks that where do you want to go?
Yeah.
And if going someplace involves developing those weaker areas, then I guess that's enough encouragement for the person. If I think that I need to go that way, and I see that I can't go there because I don't know how to do something, then I learn how to do something.
Can you give an example from our team? We have team members who have said that I'm not good at English, or I'm not good at economic and accounting and these things. And now it might be that those people at the moment really focusing on those areas. What has happened? Why have they been able to change the mindset?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the biggest things is that you just need to try everything before you can say that you don't like it. It's kind of like this teamwork and group work. If you base your experiences on something that happened 5 years ago in a very different setting, it's of course you might have the kind of negative feelings that I don't like maths and that's why I will not do bookkeeping here. But once you start doing bookkeeping for your own team and you realize that you have insights that maybe others at the moment don't share, and you can really take the situation to a next level even if you are beginning at the moment. I think it might spark kind of like a new motivation inside you. And also I think that, for example, here in Pro Academia, because another part of our degree is to learn the leadership, be it then English or mathematics or whatever, but if you are a team leader, a business leader, an HR or whatever, you most likely will have to kind of endure with these kind of situations and talents you don't yourself know, but you need to see the talents, how can they be used with other people. So I think that's also kind of acknowledging that you are learning about them even if you're not studying it in a like old-fashioned way.
And what I can do as a coach to help the student to start to develop the weaker areas is, of course, having these coaching discussions. And in those situations, have you translated the word oivalluttaa yet? Making people realize themselves that this could be important, and then encourage them to take baby steps and help them to find the first steps to take, and then go on and try and encourage and encourage and encourage, and then find the right members from the team who could do the same, so that the person would get the same message from several directions, like from the coach and from the team.
But I think like here, when we are entrepreneurs, most of us will at some point do something for ourselves. So I guess the attitude towards learning a thing that you need to do yourself and for your own company or business is very different than if you're just asked, do you want to do this or not? You just have to do it. So
you have to learn this for the teacher to be happy.
Now you need to learn it for yourself, so you have the motivation to.
At least you have to understand that.
Well, I think Renata was signaling to us that we should wrap up and go to the final comments. So what do you have in your minds at the moment? What did you learn with the Chilean coaching process you were involved in?
Well, one of the biggest, I do have one certain in mind, was I think it was at towards the very end of our coaching sessions. And one of them asked, or said that they are not feeling that they're doing their job well enough. And I think it was Timo who asked, what are you supposed to do? When do you know you've done something well? Or how do you get there? And then we got to this discussion, like, what is teaching or coaching? Like, what's the essential of it? And then we started discussing today's worlds, like how schools still tend to bring so much information, but there's not enough focus on how to make people learn those things and how to make people use those things they learn, rather than just telling how things are and students being able to find them themselves in, for example, Google or wherever. So I think that was a very juicy topic that I myself started thinking more. Like what is learning? What's the essential of it, and what's the essential of like higher educations nowadays anyway? Is it giving more information or making people learn the information they've received?
In the world that everything is changing so rapidly.
Exactly.
I think one of the keys to coaching is not that it's so different from all kinds of teaching, but the basic idea of coaching is to help people see the meaning of what they are learning. And it doesn't matter how you learn something. Do you read a book? Do you go to a lecture? If you know what you're doing and you know why you're doing that thing. There's so many people sitting in lecture halls without knowing why they are there that I'm wondering why are they there?
I think that team learning and team coaching is nowadays, and it's here now, and I exactly will be in it, and I join you all to join us. I call you all to join us, because it's so fascinating to be a member of team coaches and member of team learning students and
team learning communities.
Yes,
and-
yes.
Yeah.
Because you can learn, you have to learn every day, every situation.
I totally agree with you. Very well said. And after several years of teacher experience and now 8 years of coaching experience, I have to say that I love my job.
Yeah.
This is like this is great, and it's not easy, but it's meaningful and makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's why I really also I agree with you that we should change from more from teachers to coaches in that sense.
Yeah. If I think of my kids when they will be older, I do wish that they have someone with a coach's mindset, because the way coaches here, for example, in Pro Academia or Y Campus or coaches we work with, the way they speak about their students, I think it's really heartwarming to see that it's not the kind of hierarchy showing your place, that I'm the teacher here, you're the student here, and I'm using my power and you know your place and telling you what to do. It's more bringing the best version of each and every one from themselves. So I think that's lovely, and I wish that everybody gets to experience it.
It was such a nice ending that maybe
Yes.
we should just like, wow, this is it. Well said. Renata, do you want us to say something more? Is she listening to us?
There's something going on.
You don't know, maybe there are the lopputekstit.
Are there still some questions or something?
Are we finished?
Are we finished? Yes. That
Okay.
was fun.
Thank you. This was
I hope you
interesting,
didn't cry
weird.
too much.
That's cool.
Yeah, time went fast.
That's really fast.
Oh.
I will write about the team coaching academy too. Today, comments. If someone wants to.
Okay, because we didn't mention it, but we surely
Yeah.
wanted to.
We're still streaming right now.
Okay, yeah.
Can you check it out?
Okay, I'll get there too. But everyone is saying that it was really nice to have
Thank
this
you.
a kind of conversation that they felt like they were here watching with us. Were they able to hear us? Yes. And that was super cool. I hope that happened.
Sorry?